Well, I've always wanted to go to see Seville Cathedral. And this video is all about our cruise excursion visit to see the city of Seville from the port of Cadiz. If that interests you, then watch on. Well, we went to the port of Cadiz and I spotted that there was a cruise excursion to go and see Seville, and in particular Seville Cathedral. And I thought, wanted to do that for a long time. So that's what this video is about. Now, please note that Cadiz itself is quite a place, and I think you could have a great time spending the whole day looking around Cadiz on its own, because there seemed lots to do. But this video is focusing on our visit to Seville. Now, it is about an hour's drive from the port, and it's a pretty boring drive, to be honest. Nothing much to look out for, apart from the fact the cotton fields. I didn't know they grew cotton in Spain, but there you are. But you can see cotton fields. So that was quite interesting, I suppose. But anyway, then when you get to the outskirts of Seville, you will see lots of buildings representing the cultures from around the world. And they are remnants of a cultural exhibition that took place in Seville back in the day. Now, you eventually come to the grandest, which of course is the one from Spain because they were on home turf. And it's called Plaza de Espana. And well, I really liked it. It's a spectacular square with a very long curving facade, a bridge, and a very wide open space. Very busy, very popular. Some nice water features. Once that back out of the Plaza de Espana, we crossed the road over to the Royal Alcazar Gardens. Now, I weren't that impressed with the gardens. They were bog average gardens. I weren't that impressed with that. But they did have a mighty column in memory of Christopher Columbus and his adventures, or his plundering, as some might describe it. And so that was quite an interesting thing. He's big in Seville, is our Christopher Columbus. I think they have some claim on him or something. Anyway, we walked through the gardens after seeing this column to Christopher Columbus, and you get to an area called Santa Cruz. Now, in Santa Cruz, you've got some old medieval walls from the Jewish quarter, but you've also got a balcony, which is supposed to be the original balcony from the story that inspired Shakespeare to write Romeo and Juliet. Take of that as you wish. You go through, it's one of those classical medieval European towns, really, with narrow streets, tall buildings. Well, for the day, tall buildings, but you know the type, don't you? Well, you will, because I'll put the photos in, but if you've never experienced it before, it's fantastic. But it's much like others that you'll come across, nothing particular. Gradually, you'll come to an area called Real Alcazar, and from there, you'll see much wonderful architecture, stunning in fact. And eventually, you'll come to Seville Cathedral. Now, I've been to St. Paul's in London and to St. Peter's and St. Paul's in Rome, which are larger, the two cathedrals that are larger than Seville. But in some respect, this place has a size of its own. I can't understand it. I've also been to Gaudi's Cathedral in Barcelona, which is another vast space. But there's something special about this cathedral in Seville. There's something about how the light bounces around in the cathedral. There's something about the holiness of this cathedral. I found it a lovely place to be. Now, there is also a tomb to Christopher Columbus, a very splendid affair indeed. However, the likelihood of him actually being buried in this tomb is not that great. But hey ho. So yes, good visit. Then we had some free time. Now, once you get outside the cathedral, there's cafes and bars all the way around, and they are very expensive. Okay, but top tip: if you go down some of the narrow streets from these cafes that are just outside the cathedral, you'll find other cafes, and it's much cheaper, and you get much more better value for your dosharunis, okay, for your money. So that's top tip for us, for you. And then we had a break, a snack. Found a football shop, actually. Found two football shops, one Seville and one for Madrid. I thought it was a bit cheeky of Madrid opening a shop to their football team in one of their arch rivals, Seville. There you go, like parking your tanks on the neighbour's lawn, isn't it? There you go. Very interesting. So lots of nice architecture throughout Seville also during our free time. And some big fountains. Yeah, lovely place, Seville. Lovely place. Then it was time to rejoin with our group and walk back to the bus. It was 34 degrees in Seville at this point and very airless. So it was quite a tough walk back to the bus. And to be honest, it could have perhaps been done at a gentler pace for some of those who weren't so good on their feet. So we had quite a walk back to the bus in this hot and dryless conditions. So lots of people were struggling with their breathing and everything towards the end. So got back on the bus, and then we had the hour back. Not a lot to look at, I have to say. Once you've seen a cotton field, you've seen a cotton field. That was it. Back at the cruise port and back on the ship. And a jolly good day it was. So there. Anyway, that's the visit to Seville. So it's a goodbye from me and just me, because I'm on me Todd. Bye.